Hello, I'm Matthew Roberts from Halton and St Helens VCA and from the monthly NHS Halton CCG radio show on Halton Community Radio. I was recently invited to the Widnes Vikings Activity Academy, a unique free event for staff working in Halton's older people's care homes and for members of the local care sector. It was a fantastic opportunity for people to learn from some of the most inspiring and exciting people working in dementia care, and also develop new skills that they could take back to their organisations in a series of workshops described as inspiration stations. The Vikings were really kind to invite me along, and I had the opportunity to chat with some of the people at the event. First up, you'll be hearing my conversation with the event organiser, John Hughes from the Widnes Vikings, and then Dave Sweeney, the Chief Executive of NHS Halton CCG.
So my name is John Hughes, I'm Director of Communications for Widnes Vikings.
Hello John, you are the brains and inspiration behind today's Activity Academy. What inspired you to get all these different providers together today?
I used to work in the care sector before I worked for Widnes Vikings. I think what's great for me is working for Widnes Vikings, I can still keep a foot in the care sector. Yeah. When I worked in that previous role, I was really passionate about trying to make the care homes that we delivered more interesting, more exciting places, and to bring in different community groups and to make sure that people living in that home, in the homes, had more to do than bingo and jigsaws and all the traditional sort of activities. And what I found was often all it takes is a question. Often all it takes is for you to say to a local business or a local community group or a local group of volunteers, do you want to work with us? Can we do something better together? And that's what today's event's about. All I've done is ask various community groups, would you like to help care homes in Halton? And the answer unanimously has been yes. And that's the experience I think care homes will have. If they ask the right people, or if they ask their volunteers, or if they ask their family members, can you help us do things differently and better? I'm sure the answer will be yes, and that's what today's about.
I think one of the things I'll take away from today's event as an outsider and someone with no expertise in this, but it's about taking that first step, isn't it? And it's about being prepared to try and do things differently, and the positives that can come from that are extraordinary.
Of course it is, and that's it. And it's about thinking that people can lead full lives from what one activity coordinator can deliver. And often I think the pressure is on at care homes for one staff member who's got the activity title to do the activities with people. But really, all of us led full lives before we entered care homes, and should continue to do that. Yeah, and that can be knowing who someone is and what fires them up and what they loved in their life and having great conversations. Yeah. That can be using family members. That can be inviting the likes of Widnes Vikings to come down and get involved. So I think for us, hopefully today, we've just planted a little seed of inspiration with people.
Definitely. For me as well, one thing I've learned, and I'm ashamed to say this, but I think in my mind, once someone had a diagnosis of dementia, you did activities for them. Bingo, whatever it was, you got your plan of activities. And what I've realised from listening to so many of the great speakers today is about how we've got to give people that choice. You've got to find out what makes them tick and then provide the activities.
Exactly. Before people moved to care homes, they led full lives. They'd have had brilliant, fantastic passions that they would have done day in, day out. They would have cared for families. They would have had jobs. They would have had hobbies and interests. And there's no reason for those things to diminish or disappear once a person moves to a care home. Yeah. I think it's really important to understand who a person was, what was important to them, and what's still important to them, and then to support that to carry on happening. Yeah. I think the risk is to have care homes where everyone does the same exercises, everyone does the same activities, everyone's treated as one person. Yeah. That takes away that sense of a person being an individual and all those passions and interests they had. A care home that has a strict, regulated sort of set of activities of bingo in an afternoon and dominoes after that and watching television after that's missing all those sorts of things that made people tick as the individuals they were. Yeah. What we're saying here is, if you know that a person loves Widnes Vikings, for instance, and you've got a staff member who loves Widnes Vikings, won't they have a great time together talking about Widnes Vikings? And won't there be organisations connected to us as a club who would be really thrilled to take a person from a care home to watch a game? And that principle is applied across whatever activities there are, whether it's young photographers or colleges or students. There's all sorts of groups we can use and engage in care settings.
And another thing that hadn't occurred to me is not only is it great for the resident, it's great for the staff as well, because they get to do things that they enjoy and everyone benefits.
Absolutely. one of the things I used to talk about was the concept of having mutually fulfilling days, and it sounds a bit it sounds a bit over the top, but for me it's very simple in that if you're a person who loves doing something, and you're getting paid to do that with someone who loves to do that same thing, isn't that the dream job? Absolutely. Isn't that what all of us want to do? So if you are that Everton fan or that Liverpool fan, and you get the chance to support someone to watch the Everton game, or if you're that person who loves painting and that's what you do in your spare time, and you someone in your care home loves painting too, isn't that fantastic to do those things together? And for me as well, it's about thinking care homes don't have huge staff teams, and you know they've got things that they need to do. They've got things that they need to do to keep people safe and well, but there's family members, there's volunteers, there's neighbours. All those people add capacity, add depth, add passion to what a care home does.
Absolutely. And they may have skills and passions that we hadn't previously considered before today that are relevant for activities in a home, whether it's reading stories or being in a choir or poetry, all those kind of things. So it's not necessarily a financial burden to bring these additional things into your home.
No, but I know from experience often that there's no cost. In fact, it can help you bring money in to do even more. And my belief is these groups can add tremendous value to what you do. And one of the worst things I think you could do is think, once a person enters a care home, that ends the period of their life where they have new experiences and special experiences. I know that we've had care homes where we invited different cultural groups and people for the first time tasted Jamaican food at the age of 90, or people went to the first rugby game at the age of 99. You know, why should a diagnosis of dementia be the end of new experiences? Absolutely. You know, that's it for me. There's something about knowing what a person loved and enjoyed, but also seeing what talents your staff have got and talents the local community's got that will give people new and different and better experiences.
One last, it's not really a question from me, but one last comment really. So many people I've spoken to so far today, they've all said how wonderful it is that the Vikings are doing this and bringing everyone together. It's as I go, wonderful. Why are the Vikings? You know, it's not about rugby. It's about community. It's about people with dementia. What's inspired you to do this?
I think for us, we need to be more than 13 players on a pitch. We're a club. We're not a team. Okay. So for us, as Widnes Vikings, isn't it fantastic to be able to reach out to the people who work in local care homes, to know that as a club, we've changed the lives of however many 100 or 1,000 people live in local care homes. And I think if you've got a set of skills and you've got a set of connections, why wouldn't you? You know, why wouldn't you try and want to make a difference? So for us, it's a genuinely held belief in the club that we need to make a difference to local people. Wonderful. There'll be people living in care homes who will have supported Widnes Vikings before I was born. Yeah. And for us, I think it's very important that we can still reach out and change their lives, whatever stage their life they're at now.
John, thank you so much.
Thank you, mate. Cheers.
Okay, hi, I'm Dave Sweeney. I'm Chief Officer at NHS Halton CCG.
Hello, Dave. Lovely to see you.
And you, Matt. You okay?
I'm very well, thank you. How are you enjoying today's event here at Widnes Viking?
Well, it was a surprise, actually, because it was in my diary just to pop along, but as ever, I've stayed. Shall I do some emails or shall I be with the community? I think I'll stay with the community. It's brilliant. You've got all the care homes from right across Halton, and obviously the showcasing the skills and activities that can keep people kind of active and well. And we've got Terry over there doing some poetry. I've just been with him.
Yeah,
and,
it was wonderful.
Yeah, it's a great guy.
You gave a brilliant welcome to the event, Dave. For our listeners at home who obviously wouldn't have been able to hear that, some of the key points you've made about how people are delivering services in care home settings and what you want to see going forward.
Well, I want to see a bit of bravery, really, because we imagine that because you're a paid employee, that you're any different to anybody that in receipt of care, and actually you're not. We're all kind of human beings, and we're all and what floats our boat usually floats other people's boat. So today is about an expression of the arts, be that art, poetry, music. Beautiful harp is kind of playing in the background. It just makes you feel good, and actually it's dead simple. That as human beings, we forget that sometimes. So my key message was to the care homes: look, you've got lots of your guys end up in our A&Es. Lots of your guys end up in services that we're trying to stop them going to, and we should be giving more of that care at home, because the people in this room provide homes. They don't buy residences, they provide homes for people.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's the difference. And so we need to get all this great stuff in. And what an amazing thing if you know, on not many of us think that we wake up on a Monday morning and there's someone doing poetry with us. It's something you should look forward to, actually.
Yeah.
So potentially, in Britain, Kerr could be somewhere if you're that is actually enjoyable. You're with people, but again, in the same breath, we want to keep as many people as safe as well at home as possible. But we do need care homes, and we do need people. We do need that level of care. So
something I'm going to take away from this, Dave, is about how we can all contribute. Because I'd have always thought that there was nothing I could contribute, but we've listened to conversations about what talents we have, whether it's reading stories or an interest in music or singing in a choir or crafting. There's a lot that everyone could potentially contribute to care home setting.
What you didn't say is, as you know, my fabulous daughter Alice has met you, and she said, and her friend said, that they'd much rather listen to you talk than Stephen Fry. So you've got a hidden talent there. So you should be telling stories. You articulate yourself really, really well. So there's talents. And we went around the room. What an amazing array of talent!
Absolutely.
From canoeists to craftspeople to northern dancers,
Russian speakers,
Polish and German. She spoke. Yeah, I mean it's amazing. What are you doing this weekend? Learning Russian.
Yeah.
And isn't it great?
So it's about all of us thinking about the skills we have and how they can be applied in a care home setting, because they're all more relevant than we think.
Exactly. Let's not write people off, eh?
Yeah.
Let's not write people off. And I make a big point, a big plea. I come from a learning disability and mental health background, and I've seen people who have been wrote off, thrown on the scrap heap, done some amazing things. Yeah. Amazing things. The band we formed in a what would necessarily be a drop-in facility for people with mental health problems. We formed a band, and the band called themselves Too Far Gone.
Right.
And it was just they're too far gone. And we wrote some amazing songs that we cut and put on CD, and they're absolutely brilliant.
And the camaraderie and the fun. The impact on someone's mental health from such a positive activity like being in a band is just unmeasurable. Well, maybe it is measurable, but it's wonderful.
Well, you know yourself, don't you?
Yeah,
you know what it's
absolutely.
like. You know what it's like in the studio, and you get that bus, and it's a bucket list. You'll never forget that ever.
Fantastic. Dave, thank you so much for your time today. Enjoy the rest of the event, sir.
Thank you very much, Matt.
I also had the opportunity to speak with some of the guest speakers at the Widnes Vikings Activity Academy. These are fantastic, inspirational speakers. People like Lindsay Dawson from Skills for Care, Martin McGuigan from Community Integrated Care, Phil Benson from Each Step in Blackburn, and Tom Owens, the director from My Home Life.
Hello, my name is Lindsay Dawson and I'm the Locality Manager for Skills for Care.
Lindsay, thank you so much for taking the time to speak to us today. You're one of our first speakers. Are you excited about speaking to this audience today?
I am indeed. It's a real pleasure and I'm very pleased that John's invited us here today. So I'm going to be chatting about trying to discover what talents we have in the room today.
Fantastic. So explain discovering our talents and how you hope attendees are going to take that theory back to their care homes.
Well, in terms of when we talk about community development, we're going to try and concentrate today on understanding what our strengths and talents and abilities are, and hopefully take that practice back when we're engaging with members of the community in our everyday life. So we're going to try and focus on our own strengths rather than perhaps sometimes what happens is naturally we may focus on somebody's condition or what ails them and try and be very supportive based on that need rather than thinking about how individuals have their own strengths and community connections that they can hopefully hope to maintain.
So as an example, if I've got this right, so for example I've been involved in the community radio station since I was 15, so perhaps if I were a resident I could be supported to make radio shows or get back involved, that kind of thing?
Yeah, if somebody's got a history of that and they're really engaged in that form of communication, or it might be that they're interested in how radio works, for example, and want to see behind the scenes. It's making that connection with a passion that you may have and a passion that a member of the community might have.
Would I be right in saying, and it's in part, therefore, you're treating the resident as an individual? You're not just saying, let's play bingo on a Tuesday.
No, it's around working with what people's hobbies, their life history, what their strengths and abilities are. So again, focusing on what's strong about them, not necessarily what's wrong.
How long have Skills for Care been promoting this idea, and has it been successful for you?
We've been talking about this element of community skills development for a number of years now, and have developed a range of resources that people can access that talks through that. I think more and more this strength-based and asset-based thinking is emerging in practice across the whole range of social care and health activity.
Absolutely. It's a very practical idea, because you're not saying let's throw a ton of money at something. You're talking about using resources and making things relevant without any real additional costs, I think.
We're talking here about, again, focusing what people's own talents are.
Yes.
They may have their own community networks that they still, wish to remain engaged with to support their well-being and their independence. So it's about enhancing that. By engaging with all different aspects of the community and encouraging where there may be gaps in that, where we can work collectively to help those emerge.
Fantastic. Well, it sounds like a brilliant plan. Very best of luck with your presentation. I shall look forward to hearing you speak, and thank you so much for taking the time to speak to us this afternoon.
My absolute pleasure, thank you.
Hi, my name's Martin McGuigan. I'm the Director of Quality and Innovation at Community Integrated Care.
Hello, Martin. How are you, sir?
Yeah, I'm really well today, thanks. Really looking forward to this.
Fantastic. You're one of the speakers at today's event. Tell us a little bit about your message for the people in attendance.
Yeah, well, today I'm just looking to share some of the things that we do really well in terms of delivering person-centred care. And I think there's sort of three core parts to that, although it's made up of many, many things. So firstly, it's about relationships. So it's about relationships between staff and people supported, and through building those great relationships, they can have mutually fulfilling days at work. So that's one key thing.
Right, fantastic.
Linked to that, it's another relationship thing really, but it's partnerships. Okay. So we've got partnerships in the service that really help deliver great person-centred care. Okay. But we're all about exploiting partnerships externally to bring great innovative new ideas into a service that can really light people up.
Sorry. And CIC, you're famous, I think, for bringing in, for example, local sports teams to work in areas like this.
Yeah, I mean, it's Widnes Vikings and St Helens are local teams that come into us, and apart from the fact it just absolutely lights the people supported up, they've supported those teams for many years, and sometimes it helps them really access their memories of the times when they supported there. And the amazing thing about that is they're not just lit up on the day. Sometimes we see the effect of that for 2-3 days afterwards. Somebody who's really not communicative but is lit up and really finds those words and starts to speak again for a short while.
And I guess you're going to be encouraging some of the care homes in attendance that's the kind of activity they need to be taking that leap, do something a little bit different in order to make a difference for their residents.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think a lot of these things cost very little money because obviously as a sector we're facing huge funding pressures, but it's some of the little things that you can do with your staff in particular that sort of help them deliver better person-centred support, because basically what's on the inside shows up on the inside is what we describe it as. So even things that you can do for your staff team that just help light them up, building better environments, a better place to work, it really makes a difference to the people supported.
Absolutely. Fantastic. You were going to give me a third point before I dragged you off topic. Can you remember what that would have been?
So I think the key point is, you've got 5 aspects of well-being, and one of those really is environment. Okay. So it is critical that we invest in those environments because it's the people's home, but also it's a place where staff can come and be proud to work. Yeah. So a themed environment that has lots of separate areas with different memories. So in some homes we've got a beach area, in others we've got an area around the local team. Again, we have some things around fashion in another. These just help trigger memories as well as being a great place to live. They help trigger memories and great conversations. They sort of light people up, and it just helps you deliver great person-centred care.
Brilliant. Thank you so much for your time today, and enjoy the rest of the day.
Thank you. That's great. Thanks.
Yes, my name's Phil Benson. I'm Service Manager at Each Step in Blackburn.
Phil, thank you so much for coming along to today's event. You, sir, are the Dementia Care Home Manager of the Year, which is an absolutely incredible accolade, so congratulations for that. Tell us, what makes Each Step Blackburn different?
I'd like to think that what makes us different is that we apply a really simple model of care to what's quite a complex sector. What I mean by that is we really pull back to basics about what's important to the individuals that live with us and try and deliver that before we deliver the needs and manage the risks of the people that live with us. I think that approach means that we're always focused on what people want before what they need.
Okay. And could you give us some practical examples about how that focus has been implemented inside the home?
Yeah, it's one of the easiest things to relate to most care home managers would be this essence of when people get up and when people go to bed.
Okay.
In a lot of care homes, traditionally, people would be getting up in the morning, having breakfast, having lunch at lunchtime, and having tea at tea time or dinner time, and then going to bed at a certain time. At Each Step, we have an approach of people get up when they want, and we'll move their entire day around them.
Yes.
It's that kind of approach about what somebody wants before what they need, which is really successful. I think what helps there is if someone wants to get up at 11 o'clock in the morning or 3 o'clock in the afternoon, they can still have their breakfast straight afterwards. There's no constraints on that.
Right. Fantastic. How well has this system worked for you guys?
And what we're operating now is a really successful care home. Yeah. It's full to capacity with people living, full, rich, happy lives. We're still meeting all of our regulations. We're still managing everybody's needs and managing everybody's risks, but we're doing it in a way where we really put what they want before that, and that really makes us stand out against the crowd.
Did you meet any cynicism when you first tried to introduce these, and how have other care homes reacted to your implementation of this system?
A lot of people thought I was a bit maverick, and that was a bit of a different approach to how we traditionally model and staff and operate a care home. Yeah. I wouldn't say cynicism as much as people thought I wouldn't be able to meet the regulations. People thought I would be in breach of regulations because I wouldn't do things in a structured and routine manner. However, what we've demonstrated is not only are we meeting the regulations, but we've been rated as outstanding in caring and responsiveness, which is, from our regulator, is the highest you can be rated in those two areas. So it shows that we're exceeding those recommendations and regulations.
Fantastic. Clearly doing incredible work over there in Blackburn. How did it feel to be named Dementia Care Home Manager of the Year?
Well, I'm incredibly proud, obviously. It's not what we go in for it for. It was one of those things that was, it was a fantastic opportunity to be nominated just itself, and then to be interviewed and then to win those awards. It's a testament to the team that I work with and the team of people that work alongside me and that help me set up and operate the business, that what achievements we can do. I think the biggest accolade was the Care Home of the Year awards. That was the one that demonstrated that we're actually delivering a great service nationally.
And what do you hope the attendees at today's conference are going to take away from, what would your message be for them?
My message today is that you can deliver really personalised support to people that focuses on what people want without it costing any more than it needs to, within the current constraints of the sector, without them needing to add any resources to what they're doing. It's just about a different way of thinking about things, and I want people to walk away with a sort of renewed approach to how things normally operate and how they could do things differently.
Be brave and be prepared to try things differently.
Absolutely. I think if we always just stayed in the lanes that have been painted for us, we'd always never change. Nothing changes if nothing changes.
Phil, thank you so much for your time this afternoon.
No worries. Take care.
I'm Tom Owen, and I'm a co-director for My Home Life programme.
Tom, thank you so much for speaking to us this afternoon. You're going to be talking to the room a little bit later on about Care Home Friends and Neighbours programme. So what was the inspiration for that, and tell our listeners a little bit about it?
Yeah, sure. Well, My Home Life, first of all, is our main initiative, and that's a programme that's about celebrating the great things that are going on in care homes and trying to share the really good practice out there. But one thing we recognise is that unlike hospices, care homes are often viewed as islands of the old, so separated from the communities. Yeah. And if you talk to the communities, quite often there is a real negative and a sort of negative feeling about what these places are, what they do, a lack of understanding. Yeah. And there's also a real recognition that in care homes, funding is very limited at the moment. There's a lot that is taking people away from actually delivering quality of life for residents in terms of paperwork and just meeting all the different requirements. Yeah. And so care homes really need friends, rather than people who are being hostile or mistrusting them. So really, this initiative, which we're just piloting in a few areas, really, and just trying out, is about saying, look, going to the community and saying, look, here are your care homes, they're part of your locality. How about being a bit neighbourly towards them? What can you do? So we're encouraging care home managers to take a walk into their town, to go into the coffee shops and go into what we heard earlier on about community integrated care and their work with Domino's Pizza. Go off to Domino's Pizza and say, what can you do for our care home? But of course, it's very difficult to open your doors as a manager of a care home. It can feel very scary opening your doors to the community. And I think that a lot of the work we do is about trying to support care homes to feel resilient and confident. So actually when they open the door, they're not fearful that someone is going to be seeing something that might feel upsetting and then go to the local press. So it's an ongoing, the initiative is really just about trying something out. If it goes well in these 8 or 9 areas that we're trying it out, who knows, we could try and go national.
Absolutely. I think as well, as you said, it's so important to have a positive conversations about care homes. And resources are so tight, and there's so much fear, isn't there, as you said, about care homes engaging with the wider community, or people trying to trick them out. So it must be really inspiring for you to look for that best practice. And I bet, have you seen some fantastic things?
We have, and a lot of it comes down to the ability of care homes to simply give love and to connect beautifully with those people who are very vulnerable, who are very frail, who need that kind of connection. So sometimes it's not the all singing, all dancing activities that matter. Actually, sometimes it's about the eye contact, the holding of the hands, that precious, beautiful stuff that they're doing. And we see that everywhere, but it is hard because workforce is a challenge. It's quite hard to get people to be employed in the care home sector because pay is very poor, and it's really difficult physical and emotional work.
Good to think that those things you're talking about, those fundamentals, don't come at any extra cost, do they? They're not, as you said, it's not a glitzy cinema or anything like that. It's about getting the simple things right in terms of that interaction between a member of staff and a resident.
Well, that's right. It financially doesn't cost anything, but it can cost something for the staff if they feel that they are giving and giving and giving and giving and actually not much is given back to them. So which is precisely why we need the communities around us to be cherishing not only the frail older people in care homes, but those staff who are our heroes. They're the people that actually day in and day out are giving love. So if the community can be a little bit more appreciative of them, I want a future where actually care assistants, when they're talking to their friends, aren't saying, "Oh, I'm just a carer," are actually proud of it. And I think that if you go into a veterinary surgery, people are very proud to be a veterinary assistant. Same with hospices, very proud. We need to have that same pride, that sense of level of professionalism that we see in care homes but isn't recognised in this society, in the community.
And if you don't mind me asking, how do you feel about an organisation like Widnes Vikings and the efforts they've made to get into local care homes and engage with residents?
I think it's truly inspiring, and I'm hoping that Widnes Vikings will pave the way for many other rugby clubs, and in the future, my team is West Ham, sorry about that, but I know that West Ham are doing some work down in London around the same kind of thing, and if Vikings and West Ham and others can take it forward, then that'd be brilliant.
And they fought very hard yesterday, West Ham. I was watching them yesterday. Anyway, we'll leave that there. Thank you so much for talking to us today.
All right, my pleasure.
As I mentioned at the beginning of this programme, the Vikings also provided us with some 15-minute workshops described as inspiration stations, and I was lucky enough to have the opportunity to speak to some of the people delivering those workshops. In this next section, you'll hear me in conversation with Dawn Carroll from House of Memories, Amy and Elle from Live Music Now, Terry Caffrey, the professional poet, Gary and Robert from Open Eye Gallery, Becky from the Widnes Vikings, Gary McGrath from Norton Priory Museum and Gardens, and Alan Howells, one of Britain's leading experts in dementia care.
Dawn Carroll, National Museums Liverpool, House of Memories.
Fantastic. Thank you so much for taking the time to talk to me today. We've got the most wonderful display here in front of us with old copies of the Beano and some, we've got some tiddlywinks, some fantastic retro football scarves. Tell me about House of Memories.
So House of Memories is a dementia awareness programme which originated at National Museums Liverpool in 2012, and we're very interested as a museum in the power of objects and how useful objects can be for bringing back memories, not just for people living with dementia, but everyone likes to think about the past and things that are meaningful for them, but for people living with dementia it can be especially useful because sometimes the recent memory might not be good, but in some cases the older term memories are still there, and our objects can be a really nice way of bringing some of those memories to life.
Absolutely, and it's so tangible, isn't it, to be able to actually hold something like there's an old football rattle there, or what's the opposite of LPs? A 45?
Single.
A single. Showing my age there. So yeah. So what do you think? What kind of best practice can you guys pass on to other attendees today?
If you think about objects, it can be really useful because you can think multi-sensory. So as you mentioned, football rattle's got a nice sound and feel to it. There's things like we've got this Lifebuoy soap there, very evocative smell. Smells very important for bringing back memories. Touch, things you can engage with like games. Music is absolutely brilliant for bringing back memories. So you can really bring everyone into an experience in that way.
Wonderful. And do the homes come to you guys at the museum, or do you go out to them?
We offer a loan suitcase service.
Right.
So basically, anyone who's been on our dementia awareness training, people can come and they can take away a suitcase for 2 weeks at a time, which enables them to do activities in their care setting. So we are dementia awareness training, and we'd encourage people to come on the training as well. And that is really about us passing on our museum skill set of how to work with objects. So a little bit around dementia, but also for us to show what we can do as a museum group.
I think it's wonderful that a museum, you're not just concentrating on being a museum, but getting out there into the community and really trying to help people. I think that's kind of wonderful.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think lots of museums do reminiscence, and they work directly with the person themselves. But what's been really powerful about House of Memories is that it's a workforce development, so it is about supporting care workers, people working in health and social care, to develop them skills themselves, and that way we can reach a lot more people and we can have a bigger impact.
Fantastic. Well, enjoy today's event, and thank you very much for taking the time to speak to me this afternoon.
You're very welcome. Thank you. Bye.
Hi, my name's Amy Ward. I work for Live Music Now for the North West branch. I'm the project manager for the branch.
Hi, I'm Elvair Dyer, and I'm a harpist on the Live Music Now scheme.
So, Live Music Now, so you guys are behind the Choir in Every Care Home programme, is that correct?
Yes, that's right. So Live Music Now have been working in partnership with a number of different organisations to create a Choir in Every Care Home, which is a free website for care homes which has loads of resources for developing musical activity.
And what are the benefits for people in care homes that participate in activities like being in a choir?
Well, there's numerous research going on at the moment, some of which we're involved with, about the benefits of music and especially singing, particularly for people who are living with dementia, who can still, enjoy and participate in musical activities.
Yes.
Quite often will remember lyrics to songs better than other things. So there's also a direct link to improved mood that we've seen before, during and also after a session. So there are lots of different benefits.
I think there's the good old-fashioned health benefits of being in a choir as well, isn't there? Breathing in and singing out, and there's always a tremendous sense of camaraderie, I think, when you participate in a group activity like singing.
Yeah, definitely, and some care homes have told us that it's also helped them link in with the local community, so it's helped them open their doors and get more involved with people locally by starting a choir, for example. But it doesn't have to be a choir per se. Some other homes have done just general activities with percussion instruments, or they've had visiting musicians either through us or through other organisations. So there's something for everyone to try, really. You don't have to be a musician at all.
That must be a really rewarding job, really rewarding project to be involved in.
Yeah, it is really rewarding, and we hear quite often from care homes about how beneficial it's been to the residents and their staff, so it's
wonderful.
Great.
Thank you so much. Elle, what's your role at today's event?
So my role is to provide some music during the breaks and upon arrival, and then my role in Live Music Now is I'm self-employed, but I work for the organisation as one of the musicians who go out to the care homes.
Wow, and how have you found that experience of playing in care homes?
Yeah, great. It varies from home to home, and also there's different projects from one-off concerts to residencies. So, for example, I'll visit some care homes 5 or 10 times, and then we can create a musical project then over that time.
That must be brilliant to build a rapport with some of the residents as well.
Yeah, they'll start recognising the same works and be more comfortable to participate over time.
Wonderful. And is this a harp?
Oh yeah, it's definitely a case over a harp, and it's as tall as you. Yes,
it is wonderful.
Yeah, so this is what I bring into care homes, which sometimes it's quite big in a living room, but I've got a small one as well, if it's more suitable.
Wonderful. Would it be okay if I perhaps recorded you playing later on?
Yeah, I need to tune up first, but of course afterwards that's fine.
Fantastic. Well, I hope you both really enjoyed today's event. Thank you so much for coming.
Hi, my name's Terry Caffrey. I'm a world famous writer. Everybody knows me in our house.
Terry, lovely to meet you. Thank you so much for coming along today. You are a professional poet, sir, is that correct?
I know, yeah, what a great title that is. Someone called me a poet. Yeah, I'm a poet. I've done 4,500 schools, 28 prisons. I've been doing it as a freelance writer for about 18, 20 years. I've been in every establishment and worked with every sort of client.
Tell me, for the cynics out there, for those that don't understand the power and beauty of poetry, how can getting involved in poetry and doing a poetry workshop with your good self, how does that make people feel? How can it impact on them?
People don't understand, or maybe some do. Everything comes from books. The first instrument ever invented was the tongue. Everything comes from communication and listening skills. In fact, everything comes from poetry. Poetry didn't start in the classrooms. It didn't start in some sort of posh arty-farty lounge. It started in the caves with the prehistoric man on the walls. So it's been around for so many years. But everything comes from words and language. You have to get into books. And the stimulation to the brain and the creativity and the ownership of inventing and creating something yourself. Nothing is more important in life than poetry.
Tell me about some of the work you've done in care homes involving poetry.
Well, it hasn't always been, people all of a sudden they start thinking, well, the best way in is reminiscence, and it's a wonderful way in. But just to build up friendships and rapport with people. I've worked in hospices with people who are terminally ill, and not just the old, the young boys and girls as well. Some of them have been too ill to write, so I've been lucky enough to talk to them, stimulate the brain and get stories from them. And then I would ghostwrite, I would write for them. And the most beautiful part of that is, sadly, when these people pass away and they leave this mortal earth of ours, the legacy is that they have a poem or a story behind, and I can pass it on to the families. And I'm often passing information on to families about the nans and the granddads and the brothers and sisters that they didn't know, simply because I got in conversation with them. But I love to produce books and anthologies and collections with people in the care homes and get the care workers involved, because without the care workers, I don't have a job, and it makes it 10 times more difficult. So I get them on my side. But we produce anthologies. I've had people doing shows all over the place, involved in little performances and writing their own songs and putting lyrics together and poetry and short stories. So it's basically all about fun. It stems from fun.
Yeah. I suppose, for me personally, and I might be wrong about this, but it's a feeling of, if someone has dementia, they can still be creative. We should still be trying to encourage that creativity and expression.
Defo. Absolutely right. I mean, and if you don't, then what is the alternative? No, it's like people can be gobsmacked. They can find their own potential simply. It's like putting a set of keys in them and turning the key, and it goes to another click, and then they realise, wow, yeah, I can write, I can invent, I can create, and then the most beautiful part of it is it becomes ownership. You find out you've never written a poem in your life, and then when you work with the wonderful Terry Caffrey, you've created a poem or you created a story, you've created a little bit of creative writing. That's yours, and no one can take it away from you ever.
Can everyone be a poet, Terry?
Everybody is a poet.
Right.
Every single living, walking, lying person is a poet. And the most wonderful thing about it all is when we all get romantic and we all fall in love or we're in love, then everybody becomes a poet.
Wonderful. Thank you so much for your time today. Enjoy the event.
Thank you very much, sir. You Sooth. Cheers.
Hello, I'm Dr. Gary Batchford. I'm from Preston University.
Hello, I'm Robert Parkinson and I'm from Manchester.
Okay. Are either of you guys from Open Eye Gallery, or what does that mean? What is Open Eye Gallery?
Open Eye Gallery is one of the kind of biggest photography galleries in the north of England.
Okay.
And it was a real kind of like great opportunity for us to be involved in photography, which we were interested in, and the local communities surrounding the gallery.
Fantastic. Brilliant. Now, we've got this wonderful book in front of us, lovely yellow cover, called As and When. Tell me about that, please.
As and When is the response and outcome of our 9-month residency with the community groups in Widnes.
Okay.
We worked with the Women of Windmill Hill and also the Golden Generation at Widnes Vikings Rugby Club.
Fantastic. And how have you ended up with this wonderful book?
The book was a response to the work that we've done over the 9 months, and it was a collaborative effort between Robert and I, the Open Eye, and the two community groups, and it's basically a document and response to the work we've done, but it's kind of an encapsulating way to look at well-being and the process photography has to enable that.
Fantastic. What have been the positives for you from this project that you'll be able to share with other people at today's event?
I guess what the kind of like the whole reason why we brought the book out was it was to kind of give people the insight of the background of what happens in the lead up to an exhibition. So everything that you don't normally see in an exhibition, but are actually the most important aspects. So it's exactly the reason why we recorded it in this sort of book form.
I know from personal experience some of the people involved with Women of Windmill Hill who've become photographers over the past few months, and it's had such a fantastic impact on them, and it's really knocked onto their physical health as well as their mental health.
It was really inspiring actually to see kind of how just showing a few photographs to a group of people for them to kind of inspire them and make their own photography group. So I think they meet twice a month. And that is going to be like an ongoing project that hopefully, if they need our help, we will be helping them with in the future as well.
Of course, you've worked with the great Irene Bramwell, Queen of Windmill Hill. How was that experience for you?
That's one heck of a title, isn't it?
She won't mind me saying that, I'm sure.
No, she won't. It's been, great. Love working with Irene. I'd like to say she's a bit of a friend of mine now as well out of this. If anything, it's kind of really inspiring working with her, but also if I need some tips on getting cheap holidays, that's where I go to.
She also has the ear of the next Prime Minister, or so she's always telling me, so she's well worth knowing, I think. You guys, you're also acting as ambassadors for the Sharing Your Life Beyond Diagnosis project. We've got some wonderful kind of newspapers in front of us. Could you tell us a little bit about that, please?
Yeah, the project is known as SURF. It's a dementia project that was delivered by Taig Devlin, who's one of the other commissioned photographers for the Open Eye Gallery as part of the broader Culture Shifts project or umbrella. And yeah, it's akin to what we did really. It's a physical publication that documents or represents people who suffer with dementia and how they visualise their, obstacles.
Right, fantastic. Really enjoy the rest of the day, gents. Thank you so much for taking the time to speak to us.
Cheers, thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, so I'm Becky Chambers. I'm working for the Viking Sport Foundation.
Hiya, Becky. Thank you so much for joining us this afternoon. Tell us about the chair-based exercises and the other games that Vikings do in care homes.
Yeah, so it's mainly obviously just to try and keep the elderly mobile. Obviously it brings some enjoyment as well. It breaks the day up for them, so that's always a plus to it. But most of all, importantly, just to keep them really mobile, improve the coordination, the balance and everything like that.
Yeah. Fantastic. How long have the Vikings been going into care homes?
I'm new to the team, yeah. So I think it's been a year or two, or coming up to 2 years now, yeah.
I think it's brilliant that a local sports team is getting involved in that area.
Yeah, no, it is really good, and it's good to obviously get the Vikings out into the community, and so that everyone can see obviously the other work that we do sort of behind the scenes. Yeah,
definitely. And it must mean so much to the residents that love the Vikings.
Oh, it does, yeah. They're made up as soon as they see the badge, really, and anything Vikings
definitely.
sort of going into the homes, yeah, they're really grateful for it as well. So it's always a really great response when we do go into the care homes.
Brilliant. Tell me about the Chemics Cafe.
The Chemics Cafe, so they run it once a month. So it's usually people with dementia, so they'll come in. But we do open it up as well to our Golden Generation, so that's another community group that we have. It's quite good. They tend to run it, the Golden Gen group. So they're always good and keen to sort of organise any events for them and organise anything that does go on in the Chemics Cafe. But again, it's just about sort of bringing them in, getting them out of the care homes as well for a bit, which is always nice again to break it up for them. And again, we just try to do a few different activities for them, and we'll get some speakers in and things like that.
Fantastic. There's no science behind what I'm going to say, so it could be complete nonsense. But I wonder if, when you say you love a sports team, for example, and for people who are suffering from memory loss, of dementia, or what have you, but I wonder whether they would find it easier to remember things to do with occasions from the past in the sport. I can imagine, like with a piece of music you might love, I can well imagine that sticking in there somewhere.
Yeah, I mean, it'd be grateful, obviously, if it does improve that, and anything, obviously, that they can remember. Like I say, it's always a bonus, really, as well. But even just to be present in that moment and to have a bit of enjoyment there is always, what we're looking for. So
absolutely, and great as well for people who are in care homes to be still engaging with an organisation they love in Widnes Vikings and being able to come and watch matches and those kind of things. And not just having activities done for them, whether it's bingo or telly watching or something.
That's it, yeah. And I think obviously they're set with their community, and obviously their surroundings probably get so used to them that it is nice to even bring them out of those care homes and sort of a change of scenery, meet some new faces, meet some new people, and again just bring that sort of sense of enjoyment to them for at least a day.
And it's lovely to hear a harp being played here in the stadium as well. It's not very often that happens.
No, it's lovely. We're not used to having the harp player anyway, so it's lovely.
Becky, thank you so much for your time this afternoon.
Thank you. Cheers.
I'm Gary McGrath from Norton Priory Museum and Gardens.
Gary, thank you so much for taking the time to talk to us today. Now, Norton Priory Museum and Gardens, one of my favourite places in the universe. Must be a wonderful place to work.
It is really. I've said before on many occasions, it's like going to work in a fairy tale, and you're in amazing surroundings. If you want to go outside for your lunch, if the weather's nice, you can just sit outside. It's nice and peaceful, and you really do get a good sense of well-being. And the staff and volunteers that work there are all kind of cheerful and happy. And I know that sounds too good to be true, but it is an amazing place to work.
Is there a more picturesque place in Halton than the Wall Garden at Norton Priory?
Well, maybe the Halton Stadium on a Sunday afternoon when Widnes are beating Warrington, hopefully, but not really. It is. We've got the gardens, we've got 42.5 acres of woodland, as well as a brand new museum which has been recently refurbished at a cost of nearly £4 million. So it is, and one of the things that we focus on besides the history aspect is well-being. It is a place of well-being.
Absolutely, and you're bringing me onto topic there, which is brilliant. I appreciate that. So you are one of today's inspiration stations. So tell me a little bit about Norton Priory and your care home outreach programme.
We do already a lot of work with different organisations supporting bereaved children. We work with Vivo, supporting adults with special needs, and amongst others we've worked with the Veterans Society, and we try to do things which will, as I said before, give them a sense of well-being, and also which are kind of therapeutic, whether it be making candles out of beeswax, willow weaving, well-being walks. The history obviously comes into it as well, if that's what people want. But there are just so many things. I go to work, to be honest, every day not knowing what to expect, because it's a place of such variety that they can probably almost cater to anybody's needs.
I'm really impressed that you've got so much going on at Norton Priory. It would be so easy to focus on the fact that you are a wonderful museum, but the fact that you're doing these kind of outreach programmes is kind of wonderful. It's great to see the museum responding and trying something different like this.
Yeah, and I think there's different facets of well-being well-being out there, and one of which is continuously learning and expanding your mind, which maybe is where the history comes in. But also, we've got volunteers who come in, and that adds to their well-being. But I think the feeling is it's such a unique facility. Besides the 900 years of history all in one spot, as I say, we've got the grounds, we keep bees, we make beeswax candles, we produce honey, we've got the bushcrafts. There are so many opportunities for different things which will add to people's well-beings, whether it's the serenity of the place or trying out new skills. All of that is good for your physical and mental health. And I think the feeling is it would be wasteful if we did not do those things.
I must say my well-being's always been improved by some of the fabulous real ales that you brew at the Priory as well.
Well, I must admit I haven't partaken as yet, because usually, obviously, I'm at work when I am there. But yeah, I mean, the ales, we produce apple juice as well. We've got an apple press on site. We are the National Tree Quince Centre as well. So, there's just so many aspects to it. I must admit, I went there as a historian. I used to be a history teacher, and I went there thinking, this is great, I'm going to teach some history and I'll do some tours and I'll talk about the castle and the priory and so on. And I've just ended up doing so many things that I didn't envisage. And like I say, from my point of view, it's the best job in the world, because I could go in there 365 days a year and do something completely different every day.
Wonderful. Thank you so much for taking the time to speak to us, and enjoy the rest of the event today.
Thank you. I'm looking forward to it.
My name's Alan Howells. I'm a freelance trainer, and I also give support and advice to care homes, and I'm a nurse by background.
Fantastic, Alan. Thank you for joining us at today's event here at Widnes Vikings. I know you've been doing a lot of work in terms of music and arts and literature and the impact that these can have on people in care homes. Is that correct, sir?
Yeah, I covered a lot of things, but part of what I try to do when I go into homes or do training around dementia is try and get away from this traditional idea of activities that are at set times and following a set programme. There's nothing wrong with that, but we need to be much more creative in what we do these days, and it needs to be an integral part of every moment of the day, really.
Right. I think as well it allows for the if we engage with the residents and we found out what their passions are as well, so they have an element of choice rather than just being enforced bingo and television and other things. Not that I'm criticising those per se, but things that are prescribed for them, so to speak.
Yeah, most definitely. The fact that people engage in what they like, and it's the same for us really. If somebody stuck something in front of us or put us in a room to do something that we didn't like, we wouldn't really enjoy that. So getting people's life story, finding out what they worked, what their hobbies were, what the things they're passionate about is what makes things work. Some examples, working with somebody recently, they used to love gardening. Now they're limited what gardening they can do now, but sitting on a bench, potting plants, sometimes unpotting the plants and repotting the plants, but getting their hands in the soil, smelling the plants, the feel of the plants is something that they really engage with. So simple things like that can make a massive difference to people's lives.
And tell me a little bit about music. Is it true, because I'm no expertise whatsoever, but is it true that sometimes people with dementia, they remember music better than perhaps they might remember events or other facts?
There's a lot of research going on at the moment about music, and all the research at this point in time seems to back up that music definitely helps people engage with memories. It seems to be one of the first things that we respond to as children, and there's an old adage in dementia which is very true really, which is last in, first out. So first in, last out. So music, if you think about when we're growing up, we listen to music before we know words. Mother sings to the baby, they rock the baby, which gives them rhythm. Music also activates the left side of the brain, but it also activates visual centres within the right side of the brain, so it can trigger memories as well. So if you can actually link music into memories and activities, you can get a really good response. There's also a residual effect. Some research has shown that when somebody listens to a piece of music they love, the actual cognitive improvement can go on for another 35-40 minutes after the music stopped. Fantastic. So there's, like I said, the area of research is growing and growing and growing about this because of the positive. You only have to look at the Alzheimer's quiz and things like that. but there's not one piece of research so far that discredits this. It seems to be a really positive and a simple way of going forward, really.
Do you think, from your kind of vantage point as someone independent with a real expertise in this area, do you think care homes are becoming more, they're thinking outside of the box, for want of a better word, they're prepared to try different ways of working?
Some are most definitely doing that, and I think one of the things we need to think about is, if we're really honest about it, there are changes, there are cuts, social care is under pressure with budgets, so we need to become more creative, and a lot of the stuff we can do doesn't have to be expensive stuff, just needs to be creative, out the box, thinking of different ways of doing things. Try not to be stuck on the treadmill of doing the same things over and over and over again. So using your creative staff, encouraging your creative staff. There's a lot of people working care homes, bring skills and hobbies, and that can be used to enthuse other people who might have similar hobbies and that.
And they may not think of themselves as having relevant hobbies, but they might be brilliant things that could actually make a difference in the home.
Most definitely, yeah. So, we often think, nobody would be interested in what I'm interested in, but it's surprising.
Fantastic. And lastly, what's your opinion of an organisation like Widnes Vikings putting on an event like today?
I think it's really important. I think the more that organisations who are not particularly linked into care get involved in things, we're talking about reducing stigma in dementia. This is one of the things that helps that, people look at this, people might read the website because they're interested quite obviously in the rugby, but then they see something about dementia, and if we can lower the barriers and the stigma in one person, it's a major move forward. One person at a time can make a difference, so I think it's great that Widnes Vikings are involved in things like this. I think it's brilliant.
Fantastic. Thank you so much for your time today.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Finally, after the event was finished, I grabbed some of the attendees to find out whether or not they'd enjoyed the event, how they'd be using some of the skills they'd learnt, and whether or not they felt it had been a good use of their time.
Just at the end of today's event, I've been joined by Andy. You all right, Andy? How are you, sir?
I'm very great, thank you very much, yeah.
So where are you from, Andy?
Ferndale Court Nursing Home, Widnes, yeah.
Have you learned anything new today, anything inspired that you're going to take back?
Yeah, it's a lot of things when listening to the lectures before. It makes you think about your job and how you can improve it in ways, so yeah. It's
fantastic. Anything specific you're going to be trying out in future, you think? Anyone that really tickled your fancy?
Yeah, the music is really good. Playlists, so people to play to their lives based on different moods. So
Glad you came along today.
I'm very glad to come along today. Yes.
Thank you very much for your time, Andy.
Thank you very much. Yeah.
I'm now with Joanne. Joanne, which organisation are you from? Sorry.
We're from Voyage Care.
Voyage Care. Have you enjoyed today's event?
Yeah, I really enjoyed it.
Do you think there's anything you've learned or picked up that you might be able to use in work in future?
Yeah, a lot of activity ideas coming through that we're going to put into place and try out, see how they go.
Anything specific that really tickled your fancy?
Yeah, the music-related ones. Yeah, fantastic. Definitely.
Brilliant. Has it been a good use of your time being here today?
Certainly has been very productive, yeah.
Fantastic. Thank you very much for your time.
You're welcome. Bye.
I'm here with Michael. You okay, Michael?
I'm fine, thank you.
Which organisation are you here representing today?
I work with BERT, the Brain Injury Rehabilitation Trust.
Okay, and has it been a good use of your time being here today?
It has, yes. It's been informative. There was lots of information that I've taken from it. I can go back and research a bit further.
Fantastic. Do you think there's anything you'll be able to use in your work going forwards that you've learnt today?
I think there was stuff like some exercises, the chair-based exercises we can use.
So you're pleased you've come along?
Yeah, it's been a great day, really informative.
Fantastic. Thanks very much for your time.
No problem, thank you.
Okay, I've been joined by the magnificent Linda. You okay, Linda?
I'm fine, thank you.
Which organisation are you from, please?
I work for Four Seasons Healthcare, that's Millbrow Care Home in Widnes.
And have you enjoyed today's event?
Yes, it's been fabulous. I loved the talks, the speeches, and all the networks that we had to go around on, and it's been really interesting.
Brilliant. And have you picked up anything that you think you'll use in future at work?
Yes, particularly the community. Bringing the community in a lot more. I think we need to all get into the community more, bring them into our care homes.
Fantastic. And use some of the talents we have already to use them?
Yes, definitely, more than definitely. Christmas is coming up, so I'm out there already chasing all the organisations for help.
Excellent. One last question from me. Has it been a good use of your time being here today?
Yes, very much so. Really enjoyed it, and everyone's been fabulous.
Linda, thank you very much.
Thank you.
So that's my report back from the Widnes Vikings Activity Academy. Huge thanks to John and the team at the Vikings for inviting me along. I hope you've enjoyed listening. We'll be back with the next NHS Halton CCG radio show at 2 o'clock on Thursday the 25th of January on Halton Community Radio. That's 92.3 FM and online at www.hcr923fm.com. The podcast of the show will be available the next day here on vcaradio.com. Thanks very much for listening.